maybe angered by the work. And I want to sort of maybe say, help them, give them tools to understand and appreciate art.
Grayson Perry, your podium awaits.
Thank you. Right. Now, the first question I'd like to answer is, why have the BBC asked me, Grayson Perry, artist, to give the Reith Lectures this year? And I think it's because I am a practicing artist. I am the person who is confronted with a blank sheet of paper or a lump of clay, and I have to literally make the sort of decision of what am I going to do on a day-to-day basis. And I'm not just a commentator on the art world. I am one of the foot soldiers, if you like. And I work on the coal face of culture. But nowadays, of course, we live in an era when it's mainly a service economy. So perhaps really it should be the call centre of culture that we work on nowadays. And also, as a practitioner, and not necessarily an expert in the wider sense, I can use that was what is often seen as a sin by many academics, that is autobiography as analysis. I can extrapolate from my own personal experience kind of a wider generalisations about the art world, and that's exactly what I'm going to do a lot of the time. And I've called this series of lectures Playing to the Gallery, and not, you may note, sucking up to an academic elite. Because I want to talk about my business, the art world. And when I mean the art world is, the stuff you see in museums, like here in Tate Modern, and in commercial galleries all around London and the world, and also in biennales, fairs. You might see it on a roundabout, and nowadays pretty much anywhere you might see contemporary art, in the street, or even in cyberspace. But I think, that's the business that I want to talk about, visual art, really, though, of course, as we will find later on, it's not all visual. Because historically, I think, the art world has been fairly inward-looking, because it can operate as a fairly closed circle in many ways. There's many artists who are very successful who don't need the public at all. There's a closed circle of the artist, the dealer, the collector. You don't necessarily need a wider audience. But there's one message that I want these sort of lectures to carry. It is that anybody can enjoy art and anybody can have a life in the arts. Even me, an Essex transvestite potter, the mafia has even let me in. And it's a nice life. Come in. It's not easy. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's not like being a celebrity. But it's a very rewarding and exciting place, to hang out. I mean, here we are in Tate Modern now. It's the first or second most popular tourist destination in the country. 5.3 million visitors a year. And I suppose in some ways I'm talking to those people, but not all of them. So I looked at some Arts Council survey on audience segmentation. Who are the people that I'm talking to with this lecture? And they divided up the audience for art museums and galleries into several categories. And I don't really need to talk to what are called the urban arts eclectic or the mature explorer, because they're a guaranteed shoe-in. They'd come anyway. And I haven't got a chance with the bedroom DJs or the time-poor dreamers. I'm working on the 36% who are dinner and a show or fun, fashion and friends. So that's who I'm working on. They're the people I'm talking to. Now, art is very popular, but I think many people are still quite insecure around galleries, going into galleries, particularly commercial galleries, quite intimidating. They're very good-looking gallery girls on the front and all that sort of thing. And the language. And so I'm hoping, I want to answer a few of the very basic questions that perhaps, people even in the art world think that it's almost too gauche to ask. They might think they're irrelevant, or even they've all been answered now and everybody knows the answer. So I'm starting with this lecture, and it is called Democracy Has Bad Taste. Because I want to talk about an issue of quality, because I think this is one of the most burning issues around art. How do we tell if something is good? And who tells us that it's good? That's perhaps even more important. And of course now in the art world as it is, does it really matter? And I want to talk about what are the criteria by which we judge art made today. Now, there's no easy answer for this one, I'm sorry to say. I'm not going to live up to sort of like the Reith Lecturer's code of honour, which is to have definite, strong opinions and be a kind of certainty freak. Because many of the methods of judging art, of course, are very problematic, and many of the criteria that you use to assess art are conflicting. I mean, we have financial value,